Hello everybody, welcome to the United Stand. I'm Mark Goldbridge, or should I say, Auf Wiedersehen. No, I shouldn't say that because I think that actually means goodbye. So, hello und herzlich willkommen, which means hello and welcome in German. If you know, you know. We might talk a little bit about that later. But we're here to talk about Manchester United. We're here to talk about things that cannot go on. And we're here to talk about stop this. Because with very little time left in the transfer window, 10 full days actually, United aren't doing anything. Nothing on the goalkeeper, nothing on the midfield. And most of it is coming down to the fact that yet again, for the how manyth year in a row, we are in a situation where we are being dictated to by players that will not leave the club. We've got the latest on Garnacho, we've got the latest on Sancho, Anthony, Onana, Rasmus. Will these players go? Will they stay? What's the truth behind it? And why are Manchester United sat here 10 days left in the transfer window when they've had 3 months to remove players? Are they victims? Or are they perpetrators? We'll talk about that. Also got a lot of other things to get into, and we'll get into your questions as well. Because there's some preposterous takes been going on today, by the way, that we need to just blow the cobwebs off and get straight into. Congratulations on the Bundesliga deal, Mark, says Damon. I will talk about that very late in the show, probably in the after show, but all I will ever say is it only happens because of you. It only happens because of you. Absolutely fantastic. Big moves. And the scary thing is, the reaction to it has been massive, and it's only the start. There's actually more stuff lined up. So just amazing. Well done, everybody. Right, we're going to get into the show. I'm going to blow my top off on this. It has to stop. I don't know how it stops, but it has to stop. We have to stop putting ourselves in a position where we can't improve the chances of this team doing well, and we're basically throwing a manager to the wolves when you don't get him the players that he desperately needs. I don't want to bore myself, but we lost on Sunday because he's not been given a goalkeeper. Because you've got a guy playing bloody volleyball instead of punching, playing boxing. You know, knock the bloody ball out. Don't try and bloody palm it away. So this is really important, and I want to get to the bottom of whether you blame the club or whether you blame the players, because I think actually I have a lot of sympathy. Shock, horror. I actually have a lot of sympathy for the owners of Manchester United, the CEO, Jason Wilcox. I have a lot of sympathy because they inherited a lot of these problems. And what are you supposed to do when the modern footballer is happy to sit on his arse? I think that football has changed so much this summer with the fact that big clubs are going and spending big money, but also the unfathomable thing that footballers are actually willing to forego pre-season and the start of a season to make money for themselves and get the move they want. They literally are mercenaries. If you are sat there in June going, I'm willing to sit on my arse through the entirety of pre-season and the first month of the season so that at the end of August I can get the move I want, ladies and gentlemen, that's a mercenary. That is an absolute footballing mercenary. And why do Man United have so many of them? It's been going on for years. Why do Man United have so many of them? And why do we have these players that are happy to sit on their arse and do that? It's incredible. It really, really is. And it's a new thing. You know, occasionally you might get 1 or 2 players do it over the course of 5 years. We've got 3, 4 players doing it. Arguably, some might say 6. But we've definitely got 3. So we're going to get into that. Because I don't think there's a lot. I don't think there's a lot that people can do. So I'm really, you know, I really want to get into that. But I've just realised I'm so excited, and I'm very excited about this as well, but I haven't mentioned Sleeper. That's why it's next to me. We won't be sleeping on this show. So tonight's show is sponsored by Sleeper. I know a lot of you are already doing it. Get involved in it. We've got something really exciting coming for you that we're going to be involved in. And we're already involved in it because Sleeper isn't just any sports app. It was the #1 downloaded sports app in the US during the NFL season launch, beating ESPN and Yahoo. Millions use it daily to stay up to date in the game. Known for delivering the best fantasy experience, Sleeper now gives football fans unmatched customization, real-time stats, and all the emotion of the game in one place. So a new season, Premier League, the new season is here. Sleeper remains the ultimate football destination for the Premier League and beyond. Get breaking news videos, all brought to you by the fans, for the fans. There's even more to get involved with, from weekly prediction games to a unique draft league that makes the new season even more exciting. All this plus the fantastic features you already know and love with Sleeper's fantasy draft and prediction games and deep, deep, deep analysis. You're in control of what you see, what you watch and what you play, and it's all free. Get involved with Sleeper now. We'll see you on there. We certainly will. You can click the link in the description on mobile, or you can go through scan the QR code if you're on desktop. If you don't know what Sleeper is, just go and check it out, because it's impossible to do it any justice until you're getting involved in it, and you'll love it. So download it. It's free. Get involved with Sleeper. Thank you to Sleeper. Right, okay, going back to what I was talking about. Yeah, look, I'm happy. People are saying I want to talk about the striker situation. Look, I want to go back to what I was talking about there, but let me just go through some of the topical stuff, because people are saying, is there any news? And there is. I'm meant to do the topical stuff first, but I was getting very, sort of excited about, well, not excited, rational, emotional. 10 days left in the window. We're not doing any business. 10 days left in the window. Fabrizio Romano is saying, nothing on a midfielder at the moment. Let's see what happens. 10 days left in the window. People are talking about Lemens. Jan Jagerfjortov's talking about Donnarumma again. I'm conspiracy theoring about Emi Martinez. Talks of Costa. Like, there are players there. That's my point. There's players there that we can go and get, but we can't get them because we are absolutely landlocked with a bunch of players who I just cannot relate to. And look, you know what? When it comes to the modern footballer, I was actually in a conversation with somebody today about this. The modern footballer is so hard to understand. When I was growing up, and I was asked this question today, because you know the David Beckham thing I've got behind me when I'm doing it in the morning? Not like that. They asked why Beckham? And I said, well, it was his hair. It was literally, I just loved Beckham. He was the first sort of iconic player. I loved his hair. I loved his work ethic. I just loved his passion for the game wherever he played. But I especially loved him in a Man United shirt. It was rock and roll. That whole era was. And you know what? I look at the modern footballer like Garnacho, Sancho, Anthony, and I think about Beckham and Keane and Rooney and Scholes and Neville and, all those players. These players were iconic players, but they also came from a time where, you probably cleaned the boots of Brian McClare or Eric Cantona or Paul Ince. You probably earned very little money when you were 16, 17. You were humble. You had to work for it. And then you understood. Like anybody who makes money, if they've done it from a position of having to work for it, they don't forget the journey. And they respect the journey because they respect the work. I think the modern day footballer has their arse wiped for them. I don't think they respect the journey. I think it's been handed on a plate. And I don't think they've got any respect for anything other than themselves. I think they live in a bubble. And I as a 45-year-old man, cannot relate to these Manchester United players who are living not just 0.01%. They are living a lottery number win. You play for Manchester United. You are in such a privileged position. No matter how good our lives are, no matter what we do with our lives, when we breathe our last breath and somebody said, would you swap it for a season playing as a Man United player? Well, you'd have to have a long breath because you wouldn't be able to talk. But of course I would. Of course I would. I'm not saying I'd swap it, or everything I've done, but it's such a privileged position. And these players wipe their arse with this shirt. And there are other players doing it at other clubs. But I see people blaming Radcliffe or Barada or Wilcox. And I sort of go, they're of a generation. Sir Jim Radcliffe's of a different generation to me. Wilcox is probably around the same age, so's Barada. We're from a generation where you can't get your head around this. And also, they've inherited it. So I think that we have only got 10 days left in the window. But what are you supposed to do? What are you supposed to do when you look at someone like Garnacho? And in my mind, I'm going, and I've said it, In my mind, I'm looking at Garnacho in June, walking around in a Villa shirt, and I'm going, knobhead. But I'm also going, he's going to want to play in the World Cup. The World Cup in the United States is going to be huge. I'm not here to promote the World Cup. I don't need to. I remember 1994. It was incredible. That's 31 years ago. So it's going to be a huge World Cup. Now, maybe Garnacho is so bloody naive, he hasn't got a clue how big that World Cup's going to be. And I hope he misses out on it. Because ultimately, I thought him, Anthony, not Sancho, he's never going to get in the England squad, but Sancho, forget him, Anthony and Garnacho, I was like, they're going to be, busting their balls to get in the Argentinian and Brazilian squad respectively. And, they're going to be demanding that they get a move. If anything, it's going to be us holding it up, saying, hold on. No, forget that. I look at Garnacho and I think 21, still learning, still growing as a player, still got a talent that you need to nurture. You're going to want pre-season. All you want to do at that age is play football. You're not 35 going, I've got to run my contract down. You're 21. I want to play football. All I want to do is play football, and I've got to be on pre-season, and I've got to be there for the first game of the season. We've got 4 players who are literally sat there going, nah, I'm not bothered. I'll just go down gym. I'll get up when I like, and I'll go down gym. I'm not bothered. I'm not going to. I'm not bothered. Yeah, I don't mind missing out on pre-season. Don't mind missing the start of the season. As long as I end up at Chelsea at the end of August, I'll be okay. And then Anthony's going, yeah, I don't care that I've earned 200 grand a week for 3 years and this club's backed me. I want them to pay for me to go to Betis. Don't care about them getting a transfer fee. And Sancho, even worse. I want to run my contract down, having earned 300 grand a week for the last 4 years. Absolutely unrelatable. I would not know what to say to these people if I met them. I would not understand them. They may as well be aliens in relation to my personality. They are completely and utterly, I don't get it. I don't get how you've made it. And I'll always respect any footballer that makes it because you have a talent. You might not have a brain. I've met plenty of footballers don't have one of them. But when it comes to talent, you've definitely got it if you make it to that level. And you're abusing that talent. You're abusing that talent. Because you know what? You know what could happen? Garnacho could go and play for Chelsea. First game, knacker his knee up, never play again. And you'd sort of like go, you wasted 2 months of your career sitting on your arse for money. And then you'll never play football again now. Imagine you could have had an extra 2 months. It's a weird mentality. But my point is, we have to stop this. It cannot go on. And I think it's going to stop. Because I don't think Ruben Amorim is ever going to recruit a player like that with that mentality. And I don't think Jason Wilcox or Omar Barada or Sir Jim Radcliffe are ever going to let Man United recruit these types of personalities again. I think they're going to get ripped up and never let back. Because Liverpool don't have these players. Arsenal don't have these players. Man City don't have these players. We must have cornered the market in these types of players. And to be fair, we cultivated them as well. I very much doubt Garnacho at 16, 17 had this personality. He's spent 3 years surrounded by these types of people. We need to clear it out, stop it and move on. But to all those people who are out there moaning, blaming the club, saying, you know what, it's ridiculous we haven't got rid of these players. It is ridiculous. And there is frustration and it does upset me. But who's to blame? Who's to blame? Probably the toxicity of the dressing room and the learnt behaviour over the years before Amorim, Wilcox, Barada came in. They are dealing with this shit that's been left behind. They have not cultivated this. We need to clear these people out and go. And that's why, for me, if we don't get a goalkeeper and a midfielder, it'll be because of this lot. Because they've took the piss, they've earned a wage, and they're still... I find it disgusting. I find it disgusting what they're doing to Manchester United Football Club by sitting there as 3 individuals and running their contracts down to August the 31st so they can get what they want. But I tell you what, let them have it. Let them get what they want, fuck them off, and close the door and scrub them from our history. Because if it's because of them we don't get midfielders and a goalkeeper, at least they're gone. But I don't really know what we're supposed to do. I don't really know what we're supposed to do, because I don't actually blame the club, because we didn't buy these players. Amrim didn't buy them, Wilcox didn't buy them, and neither did Barada. They've inherited these problems, and if they buy players like that in the future, then they walk the price. But, you know, it's such a unique situation, and I really wanted to get it off my chest. I've never known anything like it. I've never known anything like it. To have one player like it would be, you know, strange. We have created this monster at Manchester United, and we need to kill it. Garnacho to Arsenal on deadline day, says Brody. Unlikely, because I think they've gone for Eze. Emily Derry says, I cannot respect a personality that wastes a 1 in a 10 million chance that all of us watching would give anything for, regardless of the motivation. They are a different breed. They are a different breed. I think the Roy Keanes of this world, the John Terrys of this world, even the Kevin De Bruynes of this world would look at the modern young player and go, I don't recognise this. I just wanted to play football. And you earn your money from playing football. But this lot, they're almost retiring at 21 in their mid-20s. You know, they're sitting on their arse in their mid-20s. You know, every player I ever knew growing up, aged between 18 and 28, they had no time to waste. They just wanted to play. Smoggy Monster has gifted 5 memberships. Thank you very much. JB says, but are we mercenary sending Hoyland out? I think sympathy for owners is contradicting when history in the past they paid these players. I want to talk about Rasmus, actually, because I think it's very different. So I actually saw, this is why I know there's a lot of bullshitters out there. I saw somebody saying that, and I forget where it was, but it was definitely today. So the latest on Rasmus is that the AC Milan deal is off. Well, I told you that. He doesn't want to go to AC Milan. Man United offered him to AC Milan. AC Milan were interested. Rasmus never wanted to go. And that's why that deal's over, because haven't they bought Boniface from Leverkusen? So, Bundesliga. But, so he's not going to go to AC Milan. Now Di Marzio is talking about Napoli. Napoli just won the bloody Serie A. Napoli are in the Champions League. So that would be a good move for Rasmus. But I saw somebody today saying, and this is where it makes me laugh, because they act like they've got sources and they fucking haven't, because I know the story, right? They were saying that Rasmus didn't take a loan deal because he wants a permanent deal. This is complete and utter horseshit, and whoever's saying it has got no source, because Rasmus doesn't want to go anywhere. He wants to stay at Man United. That's always been the story. He wants to stay at Manchester United. Fabrizio Romano even said today, if he goes on loan, when he comes back, he doesn't want to get treated like Sancho, Antony and Rashford, where he's banned from training and he's in the bomb squad. If he goes on loan, he's thinking, if I do well, I want to come back to Manchester United. So he doesn't want to leave at all. And you've got bullshitters talking about him wanting a permanent leave. Now, you might want him to permanently leave. That's your prerogative. That's your decision. But he doesn't want to go. And that's why he didn't go to AC Milan. And that's why he might not go to Napoli. And that's why if he does go on loan, he wants to come back next summer if he's done well and be given another chance. Because playing for Manchester United is his dream. He loves Man United. He doesn't want to go. And he is fighting to stay. Man United need to raise money. It's the James Garner effect. Now, I like Rasmus. I'd love it to turn around. I've always liked him. I'd love him to turn around. If he leaves Man United, he should go to the Bundesliga. I'm not saying why, but it would be... But no, seriously. He wants to stay. But I don't blame Man United either. This is the James Garner effect. Man United can't get rid of the knobheads. Like Man United were hoping to raise £100 million from Sancho, Antony, Rashford and Garnacho. They haven't raised enough for a bloody can of Coke. They haven't raised 100 pence. How much is a can of Coke these days? I don't even know. But we were hoping to raise £100 million from those 4 players. We've raised nothing. Absolutely nothing. So you've got to start looking at, well, loaning Rasmus to Italy for 6 million is 6 million. So I don't blame the club. I was thinking about this afternoon. I was having a cup of tea. I'd have a really busy day. And I thought, you know what? I don't blame Manchester United because I think sometimes you've got to put yourself in their position. And look, I'm sure I have blamed them this summer, and I'm sure I'm contradicting myself. But with 10 days left, I'm not going to get angry about this United regime. I'm very angry with the Prats from the past. You know, the contracts they gave, the lack of scouting on personality is a joke, an absolute joke. But I've got no issue with the club trying to move Rasmus out to raise 6 million quid, because that 6 million quid might be enough to push us towards a first instalment on a goalkeeper or a midfielder. Ideally, the club don't want to get 6 million from Rasmus on a loan. They want to get 40 million, 50 million from Garnacho. They want to get Anthony's fee back and wages. They want to get a fee for Sancho, but they can't get any of that. So I understand why the club are doing it. I understand why Rasmus doesn't want to go, but I think the most important person in this is probably Ruben Amorim, who, there's reports coming in today. Amorim hasn't closed the door on Rasmus at all. He's just said to him, you won't be my first choice striker. So Amorim is sort of playing the go-between. He said to Rasmus, look, your future at Man United, the door is not closed, but Sesko will be the number one. But then he's leaving him out of the team to try and give him the nudge to go because the club needs to raise some money. But I tell you what, after the international break, if Rasmus is here, I'd expect him to be on the bench again. I really would. I don't think he will be against Fulham because they've got to keep pushing him out. But it is what it is. It's, you know, I think Onana is a little bit different from that, but Onana's not in the same boat as Garnacho and Sancho and Anthony. I mean, Anthony's the biggest disappointment of the lot. You know, he's the biggest disappointment of the lot to me. I don't think he's as bad as Sancho. I don't think he's as bad as Garnacho, but he's the biggest shock because I didn't expect him to behave like that. I really hope that these kind of renegade players will be a thing of the past. Ineos have done a lot with Ruben to embed a new culture, salary structure and leadership, says Smoggy. I think it will be. I think it will be. I think we're all detecting that. The poor football is one thing. The poor football is one thing. But the culture goes hand in hand with that. I've always liked the Amorim appointment. And I think if you do your research on Amorim, he clears shit out. He doesn't care who you are. Amorim, for me, has done exactly what I hoped he would do based on what I knew from Sporting. It doesn't matter whether you're a fan favourite or not, I'll get rid of you if I don't like you. And he's done it. He's every step of the way he's done it. He hasn't had the results, I'll admit that, but a lot, you know, removing the bad culture will reap benefits in the future. And I'm just hoping on Sunday we smash the shit out of Fulham and then we smash the shit out of Burnley and we go into an international break with 7 points and optimism for the rest of the season. But you know what? Ultimately, he has to get a goalkeeper and a midfielder. And there is no guarantee about that at the moment, even though United are desperately trying to do it. Off topic, congratulations on the Bundesliga. Now brings Serie A Gazette back, says Golazzo, says Sunrise. Mate, ask me about that in the after show. We've got a Romano bomber coming in. Okay, let's have a quick look at this. Fabrizio, where are you? Ronnie Pickering. Okay. Napoli have made new contact with Man United today for Rasmus. Talks underway. Højlund's camp also in talks with Napoli as players keen on the move while also wants guarantees to stay at the club in the future. Not a simple loan. So negotiations ongoing. 1 minute. See. So I think with regards to look, that fits in exactly with what I was saying, isn't it? We wouldn't have 7 points, we'd have 6 points. That fits in exactly with what I was saying. He wants to go to Napoli or wherever and come back. He wants to go somewhere and show what he's all about and come back. He doesn't want to go somewhere and be told you're leaving. And ultimately, it might end up with that. I think it's probably likely if you go somewhere, you might not come back. But he doesn't want to go permanently. And I don't know why Prats are putting it out there that he does. I'd love him to, you know what? I'd love him to go to Napoli and do well. I really, really would. I can see us signing another player, but I can't see it being a midfielder that's past it on loan like Igalo or Weghorst. Mark my words, says United Jan. We have a DP says we have 55 million then. Why not 27.5 on a midfielder and 27.5 on a keeper? Well, that's a logical thing to say, DP. And this is based on, you know, what we were offering Baleba. So you would expect the money to be there. Luke says you're wrong. What am I wrong about, Luke? I'm always happy to answer questions about people saying I'm wrong, but I'd love to know what I'm wrong about. Because I will be wrong about something, but I can't be wrong if I don't know what you're talking about. Mark, I sent this chat a couple of days ago, but don't think you got to it. Maybe this club don't do any more business to maintain the debt ratios for the Glazers' loans. Keep up the great work, says Ryle. If we don't do any more business, we're running a very, you know, have you ever seen... not Dark Knight Rises. Yeah, The Dark Knight Rises. You know the bit where Bane, you know where Bane takes over the city of Gotham and then he gets people to walk thin ice. That's what United will be doing. Now, Commissioner Gordon gets away with it. He gets rescued. But other people don't. They fall through the ice and presumably die from cold water. We're walking thin ice this season if we don't get a goalkeeper and a midfielder. And I saw that story today. I think Mords was talking about it. It was only an opinion piece from a journalist in the Manchester Evening News, not the crap one. And he was basically saying that Mainu understudy to Bruno and then Agate and Casemiro on the other side. It brings it home that midfield four is not good enough at the moment. It can, you know, it can be. It's not a bad midfield four. But from what we've seen over the last 8 months, that midfield four doesn't work. So it's thin ice, isn't it? And the goalkeeper, I don't even need to talk about it. Can we sell to a different sport? Maybe we should look at volleyball team to buy an Arna, says Yusuf. We'll drink coffee with your new peer, Sunshine Gary, says Mario Franco. Why is Costa interested in Galatasaray? Shite league, says Andrew. Money. Massive money in Turkey. Very, very favourable tax rates. Awesome, man. Congratulations, Mark, to you and the team. Great work. Danka, says Bobby. And Garfield, PSA was off chart. Had MRI. Now urologist surgeon has called me in. Can my Red family send good vibes to cheer me up, please? Garfield, I hope you're doing well. And obviously you have all our support and love. Very, very valuable member of our community, Garfield. And I'm sure many people will know who he is. Keep us updated. Any truth in that midfielder from Sevilla, says Tommy. Agume? No. No, it's a load of bollocks. Nobody credible is talking about it. And Fabrizio said, no, nothing at the moment. Shaunik says, a YouTube channel getting rights for games is huge for independent media. Mark, many congratulations to you, your team and the community. We'll talk about that at the end of the show, Champers. But Champers, yes. Reads like wants to join Napoli, says Robert McCormack. Mate, it can read like it wants. Do you want the proper update or do you want to read nonsense? He doesn't want to leave Man United. Doesn't want to leave Manchester United, and if he goes on loan, he wants to come back if he does well. So, but to be honest with you, Robert, if it was me, I would go to the Bundesliga and play for Bayer Leverkusen because we've got UK TV rights for it and we could watch them. That's what I would do. But on a serious note, Napoli are one of the best teams in Europe, and if you go to Napoli, you're going to be in the Champions League and Lukaku is injured. So, you know, McTominay. So, Napoli would be a good... Look, at Man United, he didn't even make the bench for the opening game of the season when we didn't start a striker. So, You go to Napoli, you might be the starting striker straight away. What makes me laugh, right, is I rate Rasmus, and I think some other people do as well. I think his confidence was on the bloody floor at the end of the season, and he himself would admit he was struggling. And no one's going to lie about that. But what I have said, and some people have agreed with me, is I believe there's a good player there. I think we took a 20-year-old prospect and stuck him up front for Man United for 2 years. That's not fair. He wasn't Erling Haaland. You can be ready at 20, but he was chucked in at 20 years of age in a shit United side who don't pass for 2 years. And now we're rebuilding, and Amorim just wants something a bit different. But if he was totally shit, you wouldn't have Inter Milan, Leverkusen, Leipzig, AC Milan, Napoli looking at him. There's a player there. And I just think it needs, a fresh start probably. If I was advising him, which I wouldn't, I would say staying at Man United is probably not the pathway back. If you want to play for Man United again, going and banging goals in the Bundesliga or the Italian league is going to be a better chance than we're not in Europe. There's not going to be many minutes. So, but on the flip side, if Šeško gets injured in mid-September and is out till Christmas, you might be playing every week again. So it's a tough one, but you flip it back to Onana, completely different situation. If we bought a goalkeeper in, he ain't going to stay, is he? I'm not okay with Højlund potentially stopping us from getting a midfielder. I'm not okay with him hindering Obi's development or leaning what Xerxes is at striker. He's not from the academy. Why the clamour? It's just an opinion, Blake. It really isn't that deep. You've expressed yours. Well done. Read the Romano update again. You've got it wrong, says Luke. Napoli have made new contact with Man United. Højlund's camp also in talk. Players keen on the move while also wants guarantees to stay at the club in the future. Not a simple loan. Negotiations ongoing. I've read it exactly as it is. I've read it exactly right. If he goes on loan, he wants to come back. That's basically what it is. It says they're in talk with Napoli, wants guarantees to stay at the club in the future. Not a simple loan. So wants to stay at Manchester United in the future. Not a simple loan. I think you're reading it that he wants to go to Napoli on a permanent deal and not a simple loan. So let's see what happens. Is Bruno undroppable because he is the captain? What if Mainu does better as an 8? Isn't this the kind of culture we want to change? Well, I spoke about Mainu last night, Suraj, and I would like to see Mainu getting more minutes. Now, based on the last 2 years, I read a lot of the comments last night, and a lot of people were saying, your logic that Mainu's going to replace Bruno and Bruno's going to go to Saudi is all well and good, but Mainu's going to be sat on his arse and miss out on the World Cup. And I didn't mention the World Cup last night, and it's a great point based on the last 2 years. If Mainu is the heir to Bruno's throne, and Bruno is going to leave at the end of the season, then if you're Mainu, okay, I'm the heir to Bruno's throne. But I won't get my opportunity for a year, and what if United decide they want to buy a replacement? Based on the last 2 years, Bruno never misses a game, and he never gets subbed. So if you're Bruno's replacement, you're redundant. You're not going to get a chance. And Mainu's going to want to go to the World Cup. So I have a theory. This might be the season where we see Bruno getting subbed. Or we'll see what Ten Hag did. Mainu will come on for Bruno. Mainu will go into Bruno's position and Bruno will go into the number 10 position. So maybe that will happen. But logically, I think Mainu's got to get more minutes. So can you imagine Rasmus will blossom, then Sesko in the future? I'm just saying I don't want it to bite us in the back. side, says JB. We have got Obi. Obi, I think, is an amazing prospect, like somebody said before. That's why chat was saying wrong. I've got no clue, says Robert McCormack. I think it's slightly ambiguous from Fabrizio, to be fair. Like, it is slightly ambiguous. It makes it read like he wants a permanent move to Napoli, not a simple loan. But that flies in the face of him not wanting to leave Man United. Look, I think Man United would want a permanent deal as well. Look, we'll see what happens. I've always said anything can happen in the last few days. And I think most people have said that there's a very high chance that he will go. I mean, look, honestly, what will be will be. The big shame for me is, does that lead to us getting a midfielder or a goalkeeper? Because the one I want to see going is Anana or Biinda. I want to see one of those going, to be honest. It's a goalkeeper and a midfielder we need, not a striker. Garnacho, Sancho, Anthony, Rasmus, even Xerxes, who is not going anyway. But those players, we're not replacing them players. They're funding, hopefully, deals for a midfielder and a goalkeeper. That's what we need. Congratulations on the Bundesliga deal, Mark. And innovating as always. All your hard work was paid off. Looking forward to tuning in. Says Patrick, thank you very much. Tabis says they'll all come because of cash. It's their personality. Maguire did the same last year, and I actually don't blame him. We owe them the cash. It's our fault. Mark, what about Malacia? Hake, thank you, Tawassul. In relation to Malacia, I mean, I don't really have a lot to say about Malacia because we didn't pay much for him, and I don't mind paying £15 million for a player, because if they fail after 3 years, I mean, their book value is so low anyway, their wages are low. And if they succeed, it's a really shrewd bit of business, isn't it? So, I mean, Malacia is a bit of a different one. Carson says the tweet says he wants to stay at Napoli. Mate, it's a very ambiguous tweet. You read it how you like. Let's see what happens. I'm really not that bothered. If you read it that he wants to stay permanently at Napoli, great. I read it that he wants to come back to Manchester United, because actually there was an update from Fabrizio earlier on today, if I can find it. I don't know whether I liked it, so let me see if I can find it for you. I don't know whether I did. This was from Fabrizio 3 hours earlier. So if you're reading Fabrizio's that Rasmus wants a permanent deal to Napoli, I'm reading it that he doesn't want that. Still wants United. Literally just had the update. Still wants United, from a very good source. So, but this was Fabrizio's update. In case of a departure, Rasmus prefers a solution to avoid finding himself sidelined from the group like Sancho, Garnacho and others when he returns from a loan. He wants guarantees if he goes on loan. So everybody who's reading Fabrizio's update that he wants the permanent deal, Fabrizio literally said 3 hours ago that Rasmus wants, if he goes on a loan, he wants guarantees that when he comes back, he won't be treated like Sancho, Garnacho and others, and he will be given a chance. So that's what I'm basing it on, and also very good sources who've just messaged me about it. So still wants to stay at Man United. Let's wait and see. Look, there's still time in the window, but ultimately, as I said, we've sort of shifted from what the show was all about. This can't go on. It has to stop. We're talking about a player that actually I would like to keep, because we're well stacked at number 10. We're well stacked up front. We're well stacked at centre-back. The midfield and the goalkeeper, we're not. So I wouldn't mind keeping him. It's Garnacho and Sancho and Anthony that need to fuck off so that we can get a midfielder or a goalkeeper. There is only 10 days to go. We need to get those positions in. I cannot see Man United doing that. I can see United doing that, but I can't see United doing it at the moment, and that does worry me. I'm just going to go through some of your comments, but I'm just having a quick look here because I've just been told something. What do you think about Gary Neville saying Man United had finished 4th? I shouldn't laugh. I mean, great. It's nice to see positivity. I thought he'd said 9th the other day. I think people try and cause issues. I love that. I love that. I mean, I love it. And I hope he's right. I hope he's right. I said 5th, so... But we've only had one weekend. I mean, look, based on the first weekend, I can understand why you might say 4th, because Chelsea dropped points against Palace and Chelsea lack leaders. So maybe Chelsea will always be inconsistent. Chelsea are a very young team. So it's very rare you get everything right. I mean, I think the top 4 of Chelsea, Liverpool, Arsenal and Man City are also the top 4 in the transfer window. And they were also top 4 at the end of last season. So logically, I don't think anyone gets near them. But somebody always underperforms. And if we overperform, maybe we can, you know, you've got to, if you want Champions League football, you've got to aim for top 4. I do think 5th will get it. And I think that's where I've pitched at us. But if we don't get a goalkeeper and we don't get a midfielder, I don't think we get top 5. And to be fair, Gary Neville said it at the weekend after the Arsenal game. They've got to get a goalkeeper. So for me, that's the fundamentals. If we don't get a goalkeeper and we don't get a midfielder, it makes me feel anxious. If we do, then, I mean, look, honestly, if you put Emi Martinez in that Man United side, he's a better goalkeeper than what we've got, and he's a leader, and he's a personality. I think you put Emi Martinez in goal, and even if we don't get a midfielder, I'd give us a chance of 5th. You get Emi Martinez in goal and a decent midfielder, I think we'll walk 5th. I genuinely do. I really, really do. How many fans want Amrim out if we underperform, says JB? Well, hopefully nobody. I mean, the Amrim out crew is there, we know. Do contracts mean anything anymore? Players can sit out their stay, but also clubs can force them out. 2 sides to every story, says Jose. You can't force any player out. You can't really force a player out. And that's what I was talking about. If Garnacho or Anthony or Sancho were focused on football, you could force them out. If they're willing to sit on their arse, you can't force them out. And that's the new breed. You can't force... I think Newcastle are seeing it with Isak. They're like, he doesn't want to train, doesn't want to play in the Premier League. He's waiting till August the 31st. These players don't really care about being... I mean, look, in the case of Garnacho and Sancho and Anthony, they've been banned from training with the first team since nearly 2 months. And they're still here. Now, I wouldn't do that. You wouldn't do that. If I was one of those players and I got a phone call early July saying you're not allowed to train with the first team, I'd be like, what? I want a meeting with Barada. And I'd say to Barada, I'm a Man United player, right? Why am I not allowed to train with the first team? Because the manager doesn't want you to. He wants you out. Well, I will leave, but come on, let me train. I've got a social media following. I want to do winning team and all that. How am I meant to sell myself when I'm not doing winning team photos? No, you're not training. Right, agent, get me a fucking move now. I need to play. I want to play. That's how we would all behave, but that's not how they behave. So the contract protects them. And look, I would say to any young player out there, please don't be one of these knobheads. Please, please, please surround yourself with people who keep you grounded. Listen to people who give you criticism. Don't surround yourself with yes people, because it will turn you into a knobhead. You know, your shit smells the same as everybody else's. You're here as a gift like everybody else. Don't waste it being a knobhead. Like, you're living a privileged life. You're talented. Do use your talent. Imagine if you were one of the world's best guitarists and then you decide, I can't be asked to play it. It's a waste. Get out there and play. Get out there and play. Alonso says, congratulations on the partnership with the Bundesliga, Mark. The Premier League is next. Thank you very much. Well, I don't know about that, but thank you very much. Rizik says, hi Mark, goalkeepers to midfielders. I would like an analysis on this. Ortega, Mignon, Quentin, Timber, Julian Brandt, Ruben Neves, Kamada. What we're doing? I can't analyse all those players. Look, Mignon, I don't know why we didn't move for him. Ruben Neves feels a little bit like... look, in relation to a midfielder, it's hard to see what we're going to do with 10 days to go. But I have to believe we're going to do something because Ruben Amorim has said, I need a midfielder. And if they don't give him one, that's going to be echoing around my brain for the next few months. I don't want Rabiot, Andrew Massey. Deadline day, Chelsea offer 25 million for Garnacho. Do you take it, says Siraj. I don't want to tell Man United what to do, but to be honest with you, I don't want these players to be Man United players anymore. And I just can't relate to them. I mean, if we said no, is Garnacho then just going to sit on his arse till Christmas? I don't get it. I just don't get it. T-Base says, Mark, a few nights ago, you alluded to there being 8 areas we needed to address within the team, 3 of which have been done, 2 more being a goalkeeper and a CDM. What were the other 3? Great question. So, in my mind, from last season, there's 8 players that we need now. And I knew we were never going to get 8, and 5 was a minimum. So those 5 would be goalkeeper, midfielder, wing back, number 10, and a striker. So that was my 5 there. In addition to that, I think we're going to need a left-sided centre-back. I might get proved wrong on that, but that was one of the 8. I think we need another wing-back. That would be 7. I think we need another midfielder. That would be 8. So that was my 8. Now, you could argue, well, Mbeumo's not even there. So that's 9. 2 number 10s. When I talk about wide wing-backs as well, obviously we might be okay, but I'm not convinced that Mazraoui and Dalot really are classed as wing-backs. I think, for me, Dorgu and Ahmad are the only 2. Now, hopefully Leon will become one, but I think we need another 2. I don't class Dalot and Mazraoui and Luke Shaw as the wing-backs in the system that we want to play. So that would be my 8, yeah. But look, honestly, I didn't expect 8 this window. 5 was the minimum. Because if I don't say 8, then that would mean if we got 5 players, we're ready to go. And you look at Arsenal's journey, and Arsenal's journey has been going on for 4 summers. Also, beyond that, as the journey develops, there'll be other players that need to be replaced, and also you need to build a squad. It's not just about a first team. On the 2nd of September, what do you think the squad will look like? Sold, loan, bought, says Brody. I mean, I expect Sancho and Anthony and Garnacho and Malacia to be gone. I would like to think one of the goalkeepers would be gone. And I think Rasmus is probably 50-50. In relation to incomings, I want to see a goalkeeper and a midfielder. Now, I would say guaranteed Garnacho, Sancho, Anthony, Malacia will be gone. All those other people I mentioned, I don't really know. Ron says, congratulations, fully deserved. A big win for you and the community. The OG of watch-alongs, undisputed goat of YouTube football. I guess we'll learn some German words too. Best of luck. Thank you very much, Ron. We'll talk about that in a moment. Just on my way home from Dublin after a 12-hour shift. What's the latest with you? Says Sean. Oh, well, I hope you've had a good day, mate. 12 hours. T-Base, thank you very much. Thank you very much for that. Mojo's done something. I realise what Mojo's done. He's dropped 50. I said 50 memberships. You're an absolute legend, Mojo. Make sure you smash a like and subscribe. But make sure you... No, what I meant to say was make sure you put a W in the chat, which is what many of you are doing. 50 new memberships, courtesy of Mojo, who is our new CEO. Can someone high up submit this list to Wilcox to look at? It's the next best thing we have, and they are free. Even Western Supermare McKenny is free, says Rizik. Happy birthday to Dimebag, says Brody. Mojo's an absolute bloody legend. He says Bundesliga Association deserves a celebration. Memberships incoming. Congratulations, Mark, and to everyone associated with United Stand, and that's football. We're going to talk about that in a moment because there's a few things I want to say about that. How confident are you we get a goalkeeper, says Jake? Look, I lose track. It was Monday night. I said, from the source we have, United don't believe all the negativity about unlikely and not going to happen. Man United are desperately trying to get a goalkeeper and a midfielder in. Desperately. What's the definition of desperate? You know, we know what the definition of desperate is. It's not composed. It's not guaranteed. It might not happen. It might be something shit. You might pull a rabbit out of the hat. I still have to believe that we will get those both signings because, to be honest with you, if we don't get those two signings, it's a very, very, very similar story to every other transfer window of the last decade where it closes with an element of disappointment. So I have to believe we will do it. We need to revolutionise contract templates, says Shahin. Ibrahim says, Lucas says, breaking, I lost my job. How much fans have done that one? Thank you very much. Thank you, Ibrahim. Many congratulations on the deal, says Smoggy. Absolutely chuffed for you. Have you got the same deal as the overlap for Bundesliga and competing for viewers? Says Smoggy. I will talk about that at the end. Why hasn't Malacia fucked off? Says Omka. I mean, Omka, it's a very blunt thing of saying, but, you know, it's probably the question I would ask Garnacho, Sancho, Anthony and Malacia, if I could. Why haven't you just fucked off? You know, it is the question on everybody's lips. And the honest answer would be an uncomfortable truth that they lack ambition and they're more motivated by money, I suppose. Congratulations, mate. You're truly changing the game. You should be really proud of how far you've come. Keep it up, mate, no matter what, how tough, what you can do. Get it. Just know that we all support you, says Joe. Well, thank you. I really appreciate it. Look, the support today has been brilliant for us all because there's always going to be haters because that's the world we live in. And, you know, you get all the shit. I mean, I've had people saying, you know, why is that toxic? You know, and I'm like, you don't even watch the content. What's toxic about the United stand? Like, what's toxic about our approach to Man United? I mean, look, there has been rants, there has been stuff, but I've backed every single manager for about 5 years now. If anything, we fight to get. The only thing we're toxic about is the ownership that needs calling to account. I'm sorry if that's what bothers people. And also, I thought you were allowed to have an opinion. I actually thought you were allowed to have an opinion. Well done if you've got a different opinion. Is this season, Santiago, you are killing me here. Is this season, is player chart coming back? That's why you did write it like that. The chart show's coming back, yeah. How confident are you we get a goalkeeper? Done that from Jake, thank you. Right, I just want to make sure I haven't missed anything here because sometimes you get lost in a great show and you forget. Man United are in for Eze. No, they're not. No, they're not. Ben Jacobs is on the show tomorrow at 2 o'clock, so we can ask him about midfield targets and goalkeepers. But I'm glad he's on tomorrow because I think if we were asking him today, it would be a big fat no. I just don't. There is clearly nothing out there at the moment. So there we go. Yeah, I think people are really taking this out of context. This permanent Rasmus thing. Right, okay. Napoli have made new contact with Man United today for Rasmus Højlund. Deal talks underway. Rasmus Camp in talks with Napoli as players keen on the move, whilst also wants guarantees to stay at the club in the future, not a simple loan. Now, I read that they're talking to Napoli about the move, but he wants guarantees to stay at Man United in the future, not a simple loan. People are reading it that he wants guarantees to go to Napoli on a permanent deal. But I think people are taking it completely out of context because a couple of hours ago, Fabrizio literally said, if Rasmus goes, he wants a solution to avoid himself being sidelined when he comes back. He wants a guarantee on a loan that when he comes back, he'll be integrated back into the Man United squad. He is not looking for a permanent move. He's looking for a loan deal. And I actually know 100% that he wants to stay at Man United. So just be very careful what you're listening to, because there ain't no way that these people are getting the info they think. Sorry, I've just been sent something else that doesn't make any sense. I really missed the chart show, says Santiago. Oh, don't worry, we'll be back. New reports, United in talks for Camavinga. I mean, I like Camavinga, but I've never heard it coming in from anyone of note. Andre Gomez says, as things stand, it becomes quite clear that youth talents will become important for us. I think it's too much pressure for Kone to drive the midfield, but I believe he will be breakout this season. I hope so, Andre. I think Amrim's been backed. Time for him to produce the goods on the pitch. How can he be backed when he hasn't got a goalkeeper and a midfielder, James? He's basically had 2 number 10s and a striker. That's not backing, is it? Come on, let's be honest. Mojo, will all these memberships, can you buy the club, says JB. We can bring a goalkeeper now without a pre-season. What a pressure to play the Premier League without a pre-season, says Nathan. Please get us a goalkeeper, Mojo, says Andre. Thank you very much. Okay, I'm going to end the show there because I do want to talk to you about this Bundesliga deal, and a lot of people have mentioned it. So thank you, everybody, for watching. The United show is about to end. Make sure you smash a like and subscribe. And, of course, we've got Ben Jacobs tomorrow at 2. Preview for Fulham. Lots to get involved in. Really, really busy at the moment. My head's all over the place. But let me just say, a little bit different of an after show. So, absolute whirlwind of a day. I've not been on any of the shows today. Terry did 10 o'clock, Maud's did 2 o'clock. Massive shout out to the team. We've been spoken about in the New York Times, the BBC, all over the place, because we basically did a deal with the Bundesliga and YouTube that was announced today to have game footage with one of the top 5 leagues in the world on That's Football, which is our sister channel, which I'm sure many of you are aware of. So it started with the United Stand, the biggest Manchester United, well, actually the biggest football community in the world. And obviously we started That's Football soon after that. And that was always basically a continuation of this. Basically everything, the whole setup, the graphics, the ideology for general football. And every step of the way, whether it's been the Dublin live shows, million subscribers, it's always been community-led. And so this deal will be Friday night football, 7:30 kickoffs every Friday night, and also highlights package of the whole league every week, which will come out next week, and we'll have all the goals and everything. So it's not just the game on a Friday night. We have one game. We'll also have a highlights package. So it's really all on That's Football. Really, really exciting. And it's really exciting because it's always been a dream of mine that we would evolve. And this has been something that we had live footage for the Austrian Bundesliga last year, and we were the first sort of fan community to use live footage. I think all these things that we try and push the bar on and get creative on, and, I've been a big believer in this from day one, is that we've got to try new things. And I'm really excited about it. I'm really proud about it. And there's been dissenters, but the reason this has happened is because of you. This is what the world is now. And these communities and the modern way of thinking, YouTube is a TV channel. I don't use... Somebody messaged me today and said, you've been on the BBC News at 6 o'clock. That person is in their 70s. And I said, how do I watch it? And they said, you've got to go on iPlayer and find BBC News and watch it. And they were dead proud because they were telling me how to watch something from normal TV. I was like, I don't know how to find it now. So YouTube is a TV channel in itself, and you are the new consumer. If you look at the radio, the average age is probably 50 or something like that. Coronation Street won't exist in 20 years because everyone who's watching it is in their late 40s, 50s, 60s. 20-year-olds aren't watching it. The world's changing. And people turn their nose up at stuff like this because, oh, we might swear or we might say something controversial. We've got 18,000 people watching an 8 o'clock show on YouTube about United. 18,000. This is the new world. It'll have 200,000 views. This is the new world. It's community-led. It's what people want. And the Bundesliga are very, very intelligent because they've gone, we've got to deal with Sky. We've got to deal with the overlap, which I think is another good deal, by the way. They're doing something with the BBC. We also want to do something with the biggest and most successful watch-along community in football. And some people turn their nose up and go, well, why not use somebody who knows something about the Bundesliga? Because they're not as big. They want a new audience. So you go to That's Football, the biggest watch-along in football, and you go, we want that audience to learn about the Bundesliga. And I don't know everything about the Bundesliga. I don't know everything. I will do. And we will, because we will learn together like we do the NFL Super Bowl together. Or, you know, we go to Charlton and do a League 2 game from a bloody box in the stadium. So I think it's because of you. Obviously, you know, and I do want to thank everybody who's been involved in That's Football from the start to now. Like it's been a journey, and I think everybody involved, quite rightly, it should be on their CV and they should be proud of it because it's been a journey from the start to the finish. But the biggest people I thank is you, the community, because it's that they're interested in. And that's why when I see Manchester United do a brand deal with Snapdragon, it's you they're interested in. It's all of you that they want to know about it. And that's what it comes down to. So I'm immensely proud of it. It is for That's Football, of course, but I see That's Football in the United Stand. I know a lot of you watch both. And if you don't watch both, Friday night after the United Stand, which will be slightly earlier on Friday, we will be over on That's Football with live footage of the game. So I'm very excited about it. And look, one day I'd love to have Premier League TV rights. I mean, you're talking, I don't think we're going to be there anytime soon. But ultimately, I applaud the Bundesliga and any other outlet like the Austrian Bundesliga last year and other people that we're speaking to. I applaud them because the one thing that the mainstream have is TV rights. And I think they've been, you know, quite narrow-minded with them for too long. People are bored of the coverage. You know, I've said before, why don't you have an alternative commentary if you're Sky and just pick up the phone and say, can we have your alternative commentary? Can we do something together? Like, they're the gatekeepers to that. So I applaud the Bundesliga, and I think a lot more people are going to do it. I think this is whatever comes next, and I'm sure there's a lot of other content creators that are a little bit bitter and a little bit jealous, but look, I had a show on TalkSport. Nobody'd done it before on their own. I don't do it anymore, and they use other content creators. So we opened the door, and others will follow and benefit from it. Well done to you. We're changing the game. Disruptors. That's what it's all about. The game is changing, and that's all we started off to do. Like, whatever happens from this point, the game has changed. The way people consume football has changed. No longer do you have to turn in on a Saturday night to a scripted show and be dictated to by people that you're frustrated with. The conversation around football has changed forever, and everybody's having to adapt to it. And there are pitfalls to that. I mean, some of the opinions you see are absolutely stupid, but, you know, at least it's changing. And I think that comes down to, you know, the immense amount of work that we've done behind the scenes, but it only works if you've got viewers. I was speaking to somebody the other day, and I can't remember what country it was. I think they were a small content creator who'd acquired rights to the Saudi League. I'm thinking Spain or France for some reason. And somebody was asking me about it. And I said, but it's like Ron from the chat getting the rights for the Saudi League and then starting a YouTube channel. He hasn't got a community. People aren't just going to watch Ron just because he's got Saudi TV rights. You've got to have a community to put it with to build it. That's the way the world works in this industry now, and community is key. and we've got a huge one. So well done. Well done. Absolutely fantastic. I'm exhausted. Yes, I've got a headache. It's been one of the most interesting days. There's a lot more to come as well. You know, I think it's opened a lot of eyes. It's pissed a lot of people off. It's excited a lot of people. But first and foremost, whatever happens, it's changed the game. You know, it's being discussed. Or some people don't like it. Some people are like, ridiculous. Why have they done that? Some people are like, fucking hell. We've ignored this for so long. We shouldn't have ignored it. Some people are like, how have they done that? We want to do that. So as for what somebody said about the overlap, are we in competition? No. I think when they did the Arsenal Man United watch along, we had our one, and a lot of people went from here to there to give support for ours. I wouldn't suggest people do that. I think people will probably take a look at both, but I think we offer different things. And I think from I don't think, just look at the publicity the Bundesliga has had today. That's the real win. And they're looking at a UK market. So I think that's the big thing. And I think the worst thing would have been to give it to everybody, because then you just dilute it. I think, I'm very excited about it. And I also think the exciting thing about the Bundesliga is what I said, funnily enough, a few weeks ago, was that when you look at the players that are coming out of the Bundesliga now, not only has it always been a very intense and quick league, and some people say it's the league that's the closest to the Premier League in relation to speed and intensity. But you know, you look at Ekitike, you look at Wirtz, you look at Frimpong, all at Liverpool. You look at Šeško at Manchester United. There's a lot of players coming out of there now, and it's a breeding ground for talent. I mean, Leipzig have literally replaced Šeško with a guy from, is it Romelu? From, I can't remember the name of the team, but it's the Turkish league. It wasn't a big team in Turkey. It wasn't Galatasaray. And he was banging goals in. So, you know, in a year, he might be the next big thing. So, yeah, the title says can't. No, it doesn't. It says stop this. Who are you adopting, says John. Well, it's Leipzig against Bayern Munich on Friday night. And obviously, I'd love Leipzig to win because Bayern Munich are going to be massive favourites to win the league. But I want Leverkusen to do well. I do want Leverkusen to do well. I like Ten Hag. I don't like what he did with Onana, but I always like Ten Hag. So I would like Leverkusen to do well. I do like Frankfurt, but I think they've been decimated with Mamouche and Ekitike going. So, but I do want Ten Hag to do well. I think it would be great to see Ten Hag do well. But look, yeah, really looking forward to it. Really looking forward to it, and hopefully many of you will as well. Robert McCormack's really excited because he gets to see Harry Kane. To be honest with you, Harry Kane's not really the draw for me. I mean, it'd be nice to see Harry Kane, but it's not really the draw for me. Was this what the work trip about in New York was? New York's got nothing to do with that. New York's different things. The work trips to New York are different things that hopefully we'll be talking to you about. We've got a lot of things we're working on at the moment, and hopefully this is the start of a few more big announcements. But in relation to the United stand, it's very difficult to, the United stand is amazing. I love it. I love the 8 o'clock shows, but that's football's doing a lot of good stuff at the moment because it's all of house, whereas United stand is United, isn't it? So, yeah. But look, thank you for everybody for tuning in. Are you going to wear bright white trainers this month? Mate, it's not going to be any different to... The layout is going to be pretty much the same, apart from when we go full screen. We're not going to reinvent the wheel on this. Somebody said to me today, would you be interested in having guests on? And I've had a few people say, can I be a guest on it? And I said, I've already got the best guests in the world. That's my community. I'm not about to change what made us the biggest and the best. And that's the community. So I'm not interested in getting guests on or changing it up because we've secured this amazing deal. We secured it because of you. You're the guest. That's the way it is. You're always going to be the guest. I could bring guests in, and in the future we might do it every now and again, but why would you change the thing that got it in the first place? The best guest is you. That's why it works. So we won't be changing that. I want to be sat there on Friday watching the game with you, and somebody coming on about, have you seen this 17-year-old on the bench? That's what it's all about. So I'm very excited because, as I said, the mainstream can do their thing, the overlap will do their thing very, very well, but nobody will do it the way we did it. And we're offering something different, and that's the whole point. For the people who don't get their head around, why have they done it? Why have they done it? Because we do something very different that nobody else does. We've changed the game. We've got a community. We've got a huge audience because we do it in a different way to everybody else. And that's why it's really wholesome, because everyone else can do their own thing and we'll do our thing. And I can't wait. It's going to be exciting. And hopefully it's the future. I mean, look, I'd love to be doing the World Cup or something like that. But let's see. But we've achieved this together. And as I say, let the haters hate. Focus on the good people. And I said it when we hit 1 million subscribers, and I've always been sincere about it. I'm crap at celebrating personal good news. I'm much better at sharing it. And I genuinely thank everybody who gets involved, new and old and future new, because this today was just so great. I was so proud seeing it all over the mainstream and everything like that, because it's a journey from nothing to that. And I'm very, very proud of it. And it wouldn't happen without a community and everybody who's been involved all the way through. It's a journey. Right, we've got a Fabrizio Romano story coming in here. Fabrizio saying that Rasmus and his camp have made clear to Napoli, Leipzig, Milan and all clubs interested that he prefers a loan with obligation to buy. Rasmus always wanted to stay at Man United, but if he has to leave, he wants move to be guaranteed to feel total confidence. So that's, well, to be fair then, look, I'll hold my hands up. That is not what he said himself 3 hours ago. He said he wants guarantees that he can come back to Man United and be integrated. So could be fast moving, could be about a permanent move. Could also be, before people start going, you're wrong, this, that, and the other. It's not kindergarten. Listen to the last 5 minutes. We're a community. It could also be, and your IQ might not figure this out as quick as I have. That sounds arrogant, but what I'm using a detective brain here. It could also be a very clever ploy. Romano, right in the middle, says Rasmus always wanted to stay at Man United. But if he has to leave, he wants the move to be guaranteed to feel total confidence. My interpretation of that is he probably knows no one's going to buy him permanently. They're all going to want loan, try before you buy. So he is saying, if I'm going, somebody's got to buy me. Probably knowing no one is going to stump that money up because Man United can't do it. Because if Napoli want to buy Rasmus, they're probably going to offer 30, which will be a loss on the books for Man United. So maybe that's what's going on here. If you want me to go, I'll go, but it's got to be a permanent deal. I'm not going on a loan deal. So maybe that's what's going on, because it even says in Fabrizio's update he wants to stay at Man United, but if he's going, it's a permanent move. So maybe he's saying, look, I'm not going on loan. This is my career. I'm not going to go on loan and then in a year's time be back here waiting around again on trial for a loan. If I'm going to go, I want to go and know I'm gone. Find that deal. And with 10 days left in the window, do you genuinely think there's going to be a permanent deal? So let's see. Loan with an obligation doesn't mean anything. Loan with an obligation doesn't mean anything anymore, does it? But let's see. Look, there's always been a strong belief that there would be a parting of the ways. So let's see. Right, Acton baby. Thank you very much. Speak to you all in a bit. Congratulations, Mark. Please don't change the layout. We won't be changing anything soccer. We will do it in our way. Thank you very much. Take care, everybody. Stay safe. We're back tomorrow at 10 a.m. unless anything happens before. I'll speak to you all in a bit. Absolutely brilliant day. Hope you've had a great day. And let's see what tomorrow brings. Excited about Friday night. Very excited about United on Sunday too. Speak to you in a bit.